Hello, I'm Bobbie Butters and welcome to my squat masterclass. So what I'm going to do for you guys today is I'm going to break down the squat lift into some key elements that I find is helpful either for myself as an athlete, when I'm instructing to my students, or when I'm discussing it to an athlete. So I'm breaking it down into some key components. We're going to look at the feet, torso position, and your hand position, and also how low is a low bar squat. So let's take the feet. So whenever I'm looking at somebody's squat and I'm looking to potentially develop it, to make them more efficient, etc., first thing I look at is the feet. How far apart are their feet and whereabouts is their toe angle? Now every individual will be different and there's not a one size fits all, and it might take a few cycles to actually work out what is the best one for you. Ultimately, what you're looking for is to ensure that when you're squatting, the weight is going through your midfoot. And a way to look at that as well is when you look at someone from the side, or if you've recorded yourself and you're looking from the side, is the end of the bar in line with your midfoot? And typically speaking, that would mean that you are distributing your weight through the center of your foot. So you might have quite a wide stance in order for that to be achieved, or you might have quite a narrow stance. And then you've also got different toe angles. So some people might be more forwards and some people might be more out. Typically, if you're going to have more outwards facing toes, so something like say 30-degree angle, you'll have a naturally slightly wider stance than if you are someone who has a narrower stance where your toes are pointing further forward. And again, those are some things that you might have to adjust depending on the way that you're built. This can also have an impact on the depth as well. So in powerlifting, it's important that essentially your hip crease is below your knee, and that's how we kind of look at depth. And we have judges that are sat on the side to ensure that happens. Some people might have to go wider in order to achieve depth. Some people might have enough ankle range of motion where they can step with their feet close together, toes pointed forward, and they're able to achieve the same amount of depth. For myself, I naturally have a stance that's a little bit like this. So you've got kind of just outside of hip width, I would say, and there is a slight toe angle. I've experimented with all of them, and over the 10 years of my lifting, this is now the one that I come to the most often. So the next part is actually how you're going to set up your hands. So some people have quite a wide grip on the bar. Some people have quite a narrow grip on the bar. That can depend on potentially your humerus to ulnar and radius ratio. So naturally, I have kind of a medium grip, because if I put my hands too close, my elbows physically can't get close enough to my body. And if I go too wide, I can't create what's known as a nice shelf. So you want to create a shelf for the bar to sit on. So I naturally go for something a little bit more in this kind of realm. It can also depend on how low you want your low bar. Some people might have it on the soft part of your neck there, so that's kind of more high bar. And then other people will go as low as like just below where your rear delts are. And then therefore that might indicate whereabouts they feel comfortable to have the bar on their back. And then therefore it'll dictate as to how wide your hands are. This can be different for people depending on kind of range of motion and also just the way people are put together. So again, you might have to experiment a little bit to ensure that you are creating a good shelf that remains tight and you have the ability to sustain that position all the way down and all the way up out of the squat. If the bar starts rolling or you're finding it hard to remain tight, that might be an indicator of maybe we need to adjust the hand width or the bar height on your back. So typically speaking, once you've kind of established around about where your feet are going to be in order for you to keep your knees tracking in line with your toes as much as possible, and you've achieved the right depth, you've got a grip width and a height of the bar on your back that you feel again that's quite comfortable. The next thing is being able to ensure you can maintain that and maintain a constant torso angle all the way down and all the way up out of your squat. So typically, if you are going to go a little bit higher, you'll naturally have a taller torso. So you'll end up with kind of maintaining something a little bit more like this. And then the lower you go down your back, the more you're going to lean forward so that the end of the bar remains in line with your midfoot, allowing you again to push through the center of your foot as much as possible. So ultimately, we want to make sure we're as efficient as possible. So we want the line of force, or the bar path, sorry, to go straight up and straight down. So another key tip, which I feel like it needs to be mentioned here when we're discussing torso angle and being able to maintain it, is being able to brace effectively and essentially enough. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to create an air bubble in the front of your torso that essentially almost wraps around your spine. If you're using a belt, you need to be able to push into the belt with the air all the way around, so 360 degrees. In order to do that, you essentially need to do kind of like a breathing drill. So the first thing you do is you expel all of your air kind of out of your body, and you'll feel your core will start to tense. So I'll just demonstrate that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to purse my lips and essentially blow up a balloon in my stomach. And then what I do is I lock everything in, so that brace stays there the whole rep. So I'm pulling my ribcage down, I'm tucking my hips under, so everything's nice and neutral and it's locked in. And that air bubble is going to maintain there to create that stability and help me maintain my torso angle all the way through my squat. So I'm just going to give you some little bits of tips and tricks based on my own personal experience and how I've developed my own squat technique and my own squat cues. So there's 3 key things I think about and I cue myself before I squat, and that's heels, attack, drive. So the heels, naturally, I call it a ballerina squat. Naturally, I come onto my toes. So what I need to do is I think about sitting back onto my heels. What that actually allows me to do is make sure that my whole foot is in contact with the ground, because I naturally go forward. So that's one thing. Attack, because I want to make sure that every rep is consistent. So I attack into the hole the same speed, no matter what weight is on the bar. Because naturally, when the weight gets heavier, for some unknown reason, I decide that slowing things down is effective, when actually it's not, because I'm making it harder for myself. So I then cue myself to attack, because it allows me and reminds me that I need to make sure that that constant speed is going up and down. Finally, drive. So the drive helps me actually to keep onto my toes. So when I come up out of the hole, I'm driving up and back into the bar whilst pulling down on the bar as well. That not only helps me to keep onto my toes, because I'm pushing almost back a little bit, but it also helps me to maintain a constant torso angle. So again, I'm driving up, so everything is working right out the hole. So I hope you've enjoyed the squat masterclass. So I just want to round up some key points of what I've gone through today. So first of all, establishing some key things, such as your foot stance and toe angle, your grip width and how low you've got your low bar position, and also making sure that you are bracing effectively and maintaining a constant torso angle. And remembering a key point is the bar path and the end of the bar in line with your midfoot, so that the bar path is going in as straight a line as possible. If you do have any comments or questions, then please comment below.